Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. I'm your host, Janet Hickox. Please, someone out there, let me know if you can hear me because I'm having sound issues apparently with my videos. And so I've had to change microphones this morning. And can you hear me? Somebody out there, let me know. Loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. You know, it's interesting because here it is, Mercury retrograde. And what happens to me on Friday? I do this wonderful video with y'all. And if you were listening to me live, you could hear me. But when I went to produce the video so that I could put it on YouTube and, distribute it through all the places I distribute it, there was no sound. And I couldn't figure out how to get the sound. I put it in my Camtasia production, whatever that is, program, couldn't get it. So I was like, oh God. So then I discovered this morning, the reason is that the Be Live broadcast platform that I use only wanted to use the mic attached to my webcam. Don't know how that happened, but it did. And so I'm hoping today by using a professional mic that I can circumvent that problem. Anyway, happy Monday morning to you all. And I'm glad that you're here with me this morning. So let's talk about what's going to go on this week. So I was thinking that maybe we'd have an easier week, right? We've had a couple of doozies and somehow maybe we had earned perhaps, a week of niceness. And this isn't going to be that week, I'm afraid. But it's not going to be a horrible week. We start out this morning with the moon in Leo, and that puts us front and center. And I pulled a card already for us for the energy of the week. And as I quickly, looked through that, I went, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. We are headed to a full blue moon on Saturday. So interesting, right? And so lots of things happening, but they all tend to create a little bit of stress in the outer world. Stormy Daniels' little expose last night on 60 Minutes certainly is creating some discomfort for someone we all know and dislike, and or at least don't approve of. And so that kind of pressure is going to be continuing throughout the week. For the love of goddess, need an easier week. Well, maybe for us little normal people, it might be an easier week. But we do have some craziness going on. And so let's just jump right in. First of all, today I'm going to actually start, besides having talked about the moon, we have 2 more void of course moons coming up this week. That also adds to a little bit of the nutsiness, right? Because we can't always do the things that we want to do during that time. If you can take a vacation day on Friday, do it, right? Because it's a very long void of course moon, beginning at like 1 or 2 in the morning and lasting until I thought it was like 10 o'clock that night. So 30th is 12:59 a.m. until 1:52 p.m. So a good chunk of the day. If you can take the day off for Good Friday, do it, right? Because not much is going to get done anyway. Or if you can take Well, anyway, I'm going to take the day off Friday. No, actually, I am taking the day off Friday, but I'll still be here with you guys in the morning. So we need an easier week. We have a crazy week ahead of us with a void of course moon, the blue full moon, etc. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I went to my ephemeris for human design this week to get an idea of what the heck, right? And the sun has moved into the gate 17, while the earth is sitting at the gate 18. And this takes us into logical territory. Here in human design, we don't always talk about the logic side of things. We're talking about intuition. We're talking about knowingness. So you don't hear me talk very often about logic, except to say that logic isn't the only way of knowing. But this is a week where we look at logic. And logic is really the recognition of patterns that repeat themselves. And we become very adept at being able to predict then what is going to happen in the future based on the signs that we're seeing piling up in our lives right now. And interesting, because before I sat down this morning to look at what the energies were, I was noting a pattern in my life that I'm noticing, that I'm seeing. And God, my first reaction to seeing that pattern was like frisons of terror going down my spine, right? Because I was like, no, this cannot be repeating. And I started to move into my mind and get into all of the reasons that, beating myself up for the reasons these things are happening, going into my mind and reliving what all the fears are. And I had this wonderful opportunity, right? Because in that moment, I went, oops, I'm going into my head, right? I'm getting into the mind chatter of past patterns, and past patterns don't always repeat themselves, right? That's kind of the fallacy here, is when we start seeing a pattern, we go, oh, then X plus Y equals Z, right? But that's not always the case. You can interrupt the pattern. Now, if it's a good pattern and you don't want to interrupt the pattern, great. But if it's a bad pattern that you don't want to have in your life, this is the time to intercede on your own behalf and change that pattern, right? Using logic is really good this way, because we can note, oh, right, we're going in that direction. So what I want to do is I want to interrupt it. I want to change my thinking pattern. I want to maybe go into prayer for a little while and, set some very powerful intentions about how things should move from here on out. So it's an interesting thing that we have. And the sun at gate 17 is one of the very powerful gates that are in the logic circuit. So let's talk about that one for a minute. So gate 17 is really one of the gates called the gate of opinions. So if you've been a coaching client of mine, or you've had a human design reading and you have this gate, what is it I always tell you, right? Don't blurt, right? Wait for the invitation before you speak your mind, right? That opinions are meant to be shared with an invitation. And the way that works in human design, if you haven't heard me speak about this before, is that, let's say we all have opinions about things. When you have the gate 17 defined, which is defined for all of us this week because we have the sun sitting there. So even if you don't have it, you suddenly have it. And you're the ones that may end up getting burned by this energy because you're not used to that energy in your chart. So if you have some powerful opinions that you want to share, the way to share opinions is through an invitation. And that means that somebody literally says, hey, Suzanne, hey, Mimi, I want to really hear what you two have to say about what's going on in the White House right now, rather than jumping in on a conversation that you're overhearing and just blurting out what your opinions are. The reason is because we all have this need to be heard and to be valued and to be recognized. And the gate 17, I cleaned off my desk, so I don't have one, but do I? Nope. So the gate 17 is sitting up in the ajna, the second center down, and it's reaching down to the throat center. The throat center is the place where we get heard, right? Where we communicate, where we manifest. And if you're manifesting from just an opinion, you know how that can go, right? Opinions are a dime a dozen. Everybody has a different one. You can take anything in the outer world, a political event, what somebody's wearing, what somebody says, what somebody did, and you can turn it and spin it based on your opinions. So this is a week to be very careful about that. If we want to think of the logic circuit in human design as being a part of the scientific method in the world of science, then what you have is the hypothesis, right? It's come to my attention that it seems like when A plus B equals C, that this happens, right? Or when we have A plus B, then C happens. But a scientist would tell you, we don't just go out there and say that. We don't go out and blast to the world, this is now the truth, right? We don't do that because it has to be tested. Opinions, like the scientific hypotheses, have to be tested. And then, and only then, can you tell if this is an authentic pattern, or is this something that is just momentary, or somebody's opinion, or some other variable was involved that created the seeming event or the seeming truth in that event. So we all have to be careful this week, right? Very much so. And we want to complicate that just a little bit because the Earth is in the gate 18. These two are a pair. If we were talking about gene keys, we'd be saying that these are they're programming partners. The gate 17, the gate of opinions, and gate 18, the gate of constructive criticism or criticism, and the negative side, judgment. So this really causes us sometimes to take our opinions and to throw them out there in a very judgmental way. Now, there's got to be something right to these patterns, or they wouldn't be a part of our human design. So what is it that is right about this energy? Well, literally the gate 18 it sits on the spleen, which means it can also have a role in fear. And that because the spleen in human design is the center for survival, and ultimately survival is engaged by fear, right? Fight, flight, or freeze, those things that are automatic within us. Yet our life isn't really so much about fight, flight, or freeze anymore. We have all these false evidence appearing real types of fears that cause us to go into that same mode and create a bunch of stress. Gate 18 is a gate of perfection, and it leads down to gate 58 in the root center, which is called the gate of joy. Joy being a foundational energy of which we are here on this planet to engage. It's the root center. The root of who we are is in joy, and just FYI, on the other side is in the gate of imagination and creativity. So the gate of perfection then is really about getting us, like we could be, let's do it this way. We could be out of alignment, right? The gate of perfection says tweak, and now you come into alignment with joy. Right. So that's what that energy is about. So it's like the person who's engaged in feng shui, or someone who has a real creative eye. Mimi, you're an artist out there, so you may understand this, where you're looking at something and you see that just a little tweak, maybe a little change in the color, the dynamic, the texture could perfect something and create a harmony and a joy in its expression. That's the highest possible use of this energy. Unfortunately, because we're human, sometimes we take that critical eye and we just blurt, hey, you know what? Your dress is the wrong color for you. You need another color. It would look spectacular on you. But now me as the receiver, I'm hurt, right? Because I thought I looked dashing in that outfit, and you've just blown my whole opinion of myself. So we have to be careful about how we share that kind of constructive criticism. And it begins with an invitation. It begins with me seeing that and saying, Mimi, I really love the way that your art looks. I have one concern. I wonder if you would allow me to share that with you. And Mimi says, sure. And I say, I really like the bluer reds as opposed to the bright orangey reds. And I think that might make this feel a lot better. And then she has an opportunity to say, yeah, I think I agree, or no, I use this color specifically because I was looking for this kind of reaction. In either case, the reaction and my action create a synergy with people, as opposed to, see, I've entered into the conversation correctly. It's now her turn to either react negatively or positively, right? And I waited. I didn't just blurt, I want to tell you about your art. I'm giving her an opportunity to say, yeah, you know what? I don't want your opinion. This is a work in progress. But I'll come back to you when I'm done, and you can get a chance to tell me what you think then. So that is our week, right? This is the dynamic that's going on between everybody this week. And so you may either be at the receiving end of this energy, where someone who is totally unconscious just says to you, yuck, I don't like what you're wearing, or I don't like what you say, or your opinion's stupid. And you have that chance then to react to that and be, upset or hurt, or go, ooh, this person's acting from their unconscious. And I get a chance then to say, you know what? I appreciate your opinion, but keep it to yourself. Nicely, of course, right? So luckily we have the opportunity on Mondays to look at the whole week ahead of us and see, like, what is something that's streaming under the surface, right? And what is streaming under the surface is our tendency this week to want to share our opinions without being invited to, and to share constructive criticism. I think some people are ugly and want to just, hurt people with their sharing of constructive criticism or their judgments. But I think a good chunk of people out there share it unconsciously as a way, maybe they're concerned for you, or they think that if you did it their way, it would be a whole lot better. And so they're sharing with heart, but not doing it in a way that makes it seem like that's what they're doing. So being careful this week that whatever it is you say isn't going to be something that later you go, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't said that because now I've hurt someone's feelings and I feel really bad. But on the other end, if you're at the receiving side of that, to just go, okay, I get it. This week is one of those weeks where people's tongues are going to get tripped over by Mercury, and now by the gate 1718. And I can forgive this lapse in their judgment because they didn't know, perhaps. So you guys all have a leg up here. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to pick out about this week? Today's the 26th. So interestingly enough, wow, that's awesome. So the planet Mars, did I know this? Well, now I do. Yesterday, the planet Mars moved into the gate of joy. Wow, gate 58. So gate 58 is the opposite of the constructive freedom or constructive criticism, gate 18. So we do have a little bit of a balancing act. The character in our pantheon of gods and planets that plays the dynamic actor, right? The one who just acts first, thinks later, is actually sitting in the gate of joy. So maybe that'll help offset, because when you have both ends defined, you have a little bit better access to what might happen, the outcome of things, than you do if it's just hanging. Good morning, Londa. Are you still in Israel, or are you back home now? We love you. We love, love, love. Let's see. What are some of the comments? We love you too, Londa. Thank you. Mimi says, gotta laugh. Judging a kids' art event today with fellow artists. Good that I was invited to do this several weeks ago. And of course, you're a loving sweetheart. So I know you'll do it with great joy and with great love in your heart. Natasha says, in other words, take the role of observer, which will give time for interaction instead of reaction. Wise words from Natasha. Thank you. Let's see who else is saying anything here. Londa's home. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get together with you, Londa. And welcome home. Welcome, welcome home. We need your loving energy. And I can't wait to hear all about your trip and what you learned on the way. So let's take a look then at the card I drew for the week, because I think, I can't believe I just said that, because the card is called The Thinker. Over here, right? And I drew it straight up like this. So you can see that it is a fairy, or yeah, she's got wings. Let me see if I can bring it in. She looks like she's in a quandary. She's in deep thought. She almost looks a little troubled. And isn't it interesting, right? I was already talking about thinking, and then this is the card I drew this morning. So number away. So 44 is a double number. So from a numerological space, we have the double fours, which are, God, if I remember correctly, the 4 is about creating stable foundations. So doubling that. So this may be a week of building some new foundational type of things, perhaps, maybe a new foundation of thinking. Oh, I wanted to see before I go on. Michelle said something. Michelle said, here we go. No, it's going to be a fabulous week. Joss and I are going on our magical trip. Yes, indeed. They are going on their magical trip. And it will be a fabulous week for you because you're putting that out there, right? Just be careful of the opinions you share or other people's opinions about you taking this magical time off to go on that trip with your daughter. So, and for everybody who wants to know what they're up to, is last year at the same time, she and her daughter went up to Vancouver, I believe it was, in Canada, where the show Once Upon a Time films, and she got to watch one of the I think it was the season finale filming. and got to meet a couple of the actors. So it was a real magical trip for her last year. And now they're up there filming what I think is the finale of the entire broadcast. So they are going up there to watch that filming this week. So I dare say they will get to meet some more actors and actresses, and it should be fun. So we wish you well with that trip, Michelle, of course. And of course, we want to hear all about it when you come back. So going on to our card, its essential meaning is strategy, being analytical and logical. Like, I really can't make this up. And I swear to you, I don't go through the deck and go, what's the perfect card? I just don't. I wait to see either a card is going to literally jump out at me, or I feel kind of a pinging energy in my hand when that correct card is in my hand, if that makes sense, right? And I'm sure others of you who do card readings, you feel that same sort of thing, that connection to whatever it is the card that is meant to be is. And when that connection happens, it's really very magical in how everything about it makes sense, right? Puts it in its proper perspective. So the oracle's message here is the ability to reason and strategize is the focus now. Take things at face value and follow the logical path. Your calculations will prove to be correct, for in this moment there is no deeper meaning than what is obvious. Things are exactly as they seem. You have all the information you need. Keep it simple, and you will win the game of life you're playing right now. So I'm going to these are shorter paragraphs this week. So I'm going to read the relationship message as well this morning. Love is not logical, but when you choose a partner, it is good to have things in common other than desire. This is a time to weigh the pros and cons of your partnership. If there is enough common ground, go for it. If not, there are other fish in the sea. Don't force it to work. And should others tell you who they are, take them at their word. Now is not the time to indulge in a fantasy. No matter what, in this case, the facts are the facts. And the prosperity message. Calculated action is called for now. It's important to sit down and plan a strategy. Focus on the steps you're going to take to claim your prosperous life. Lists are your friend now. So get out your journal, write down what you're going to, wrong page. Write down what you're going to do today to signal to the universe that you're serious about attracting abundance. Your plans and strategies will yield wonderful results. Remember, your most effective strategic partner is spirit. Great reminder for Janet, because I was going into fear around this same subject this morning. You will win this game, and your triumph will be for the highest good of all. I love it, right? I really love it. And I think all of you would laugh about this, because if you came to my house right now, when you walk in my front door, there's a little dining room just off to the left. It's open. It's an open floor plan. So there's no walls or anything, but to the left is a little dining room table. And it is now covered with pieces of paper about this size. And there's a heading on each side or each piece of paper that takes in a category of my business. And on it, then I have been going through and sort of redeveloping what I want to do. I have somebody, and you guys don't know this because I haven't mentioned it, mum's the word, but I will probably be busting it out later this week. I have someone in the background working on my website even as we speak. And she has developed a beautiful new logo for me. And let's just say it incorporates one of my favorite things, and that's a hummingbird. And she is doing a magnificent job. And I'm so tickled every time I look at it. I just want to hit publish so that all of you can see it. But I can't do that yet because it's not done. So anyway, I can't wait to reveal that to you. But I have been in this huge redirection. I'm not going to let go of the morning video, so you don't have to panic. That isn't something that I'm letting go of. But there are a lot of things I am going to be letting go of in favor of other things that make me happy, that make me feel good, and make me really feel like I'm making a contribution. So if that's going on in my own life, then I'm betting that there's a part of that or something like that that is going on in all of your lives. Right? Something that is really working behind the scenes for you to get to the real authentic things that you want to share, right? I'm tired of messing around with the stuff that I really don't, that drags me down. And there's not much that drags me down really, because I really love what I do. But I do get involved in a lot of stuff. I don't know how, right? I get involved. And then at the end of the day, I go, I didn't even get to do what I really wanted to do today because I was so busy doing all these other things. So message, be clear, take some time, get clear with what you want to do. Use the thinker card if you must. Use the energy of logic that we have this week. Use the upcoming energy of the full moon that's going to allow us to release and shed those things that aren't working for us. We have a lot of good things going, but just know some other people who might not be as conscious as we are. And I'm not saying that in a hierarchical or judgmental way. Please don't take it that way. But they may not understand what some of this energy is this week and fall into the traps that you guys are going to avoid. And if you fall into the trap, don't beat yourself up about it. I fall into traps all the time like that, and I know better. So it's all good. We're on this plane learning together, and that kind of is exciting if you think about it. No one is alone here learning these lessons by themselves. So, alrighty. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to share with you this morning? Any major disasters brewing? Any major awesomeness brewing? There was something I wanted to share. Nope, it's not the truth. Okay, so I'll open the doorway a titch with this one. I noticed that on Thursday when we had Maxine on air with us, she was talking about a point in our charts that I always put in there, but I've never used, and that's called the vertex. And in my mind and in my learning, the vertex was always a point where, as a planet was passing across it, that it could bring on an event or someone who is going to have an impact on your life can show up in the chart. So that is something I want to look at, because my everyday chart that I draw, which, you guys, I show them to you sometimes when I have really interesting things to say. It always shows me the vertex, and it always shows me if there are planets aspecting it. And today there happens to be an opposition with the sun. The sun is opposing the vertex. But I'm not even sure how to really read that to you all, except maybe in this week, somebody impactful shows up in your lives, or an event that has an impact shows up in your life. Not sure how to quite read that. And of course, it would have to be personal for you, because this is a chart that's showing the energy for the week. So I think I might want to have Maxine come back on and talk to us about the vertex, because it's not widely used by astrologers, but it's always in the chart, always in the chart. And I think there's also something called the anti-vertex, which is the opposing point. So the vertex in this chart is at 8 degrees Libra, which puts it similarly placed to the full moon coming up on Saturday. So maybe I'll take a look at that if I have some time today and see if I can't squeeze out some information for all of us before tomorrow. In the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful day, a prosperous week, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Much love to you all. Michelle, have a great trip. Londa, welcome home. Mimi, have great time judging your art contest, and everyone else, no matter what you do, bring love to it. I love you all. Take care and have a great day. Bye.